Welcome to another edition of Your Daily Five. I'm your host for the day, John Colucci. Johnny Scan. Let's take a look at an interesting scan against the backdrop of a significant market drop today. Title of our program today, Look Out Below, because we're going to look at the stocks that moved down to their lows, closed near their lows, and did so on high volume. So let's look out below. Here we have our scan syntax, and fairly simple scan. We're scanning within several indices here, and we're looking for stocks that have a current close that is less than the low times 1.01. In other words, the close has to be within 1% of the day low. We're also looking for increased volume. So there we'll have a scan term, volume is greater than SMA 10 of volume, 10 period moving average of volume, times a 1.50. In other words, 150% volume increase today. We're going to sort these by the difference between the close and the low, and we're going to ask that that be done in an ascending format, which gives us the lowest of the low first. Ascending gives us the smallest, whereas when we don't use the word ascending, it will give us the largest first. So it's the way to sort or rank our results. Very, very important feature of the scan engine. Let's take a look at a little illustration of what it is we're trying to do. So within our universe, which is the indices, the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, S&P 400, we're looking for the close is less than 1% above the low. So day bar, low area at 1% there. And we're also looking for 150% volume. So volume has got to go up 150% of the 10-period average. Let's take a look at what happens when we run this scan. It's actually 86 stocks out of close to 1,000 that closed very, very low. So here we have the character of the close, 000. New York Community Bank closed dead bang on its low. These all closed very, very, very close to their lows. So 86 results, financials, a lot of financials, real estate, a discretionary Ulta, some staples, performance foods, utilities, bit of a mix in here, but financial, very much the dominant theme. Let's take a look at some charts, see what we have. Here we have New York Community Bank. Look at this cascading failure. Big move, minus 6.3% today. Relative strength to the VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Index. Here we have a failure of the moving average, and it's reflected in price. So we see that price has come down, and the downtrend moved in a consolidating fashion. Actually, the 50 has crossed above the 200 recently, but look at this last month of action. Terrible. 10 down to under 8. Big move there, 20%. And look at the close. You can check this by the last is our close and our low. So we closed right on the low. Very, very poor close. Let's take a look at our next stock. East West Bancorp, another from the banking area. Here we have our last 66.79, our low 66.78, closed a penny off the low. Very much of a family resemblance to New York Community Bank. Cascading failure, February down, and look at that terrible bar, minus 8.3% today. Relative strength down, scooter down, everything down on these banks. Let's take a look at our next one, Performance Food Group. So here we have not quite as dramatically bad of a picture structurally. This is a higher consolidation compared to what's gone before, so it broke out, holding higher price levels down to the area of support, but again, almost a close on the low of 55.47, close 55.48. So not as bad of a picture, but closed on the low on higher volume. Not a constructive day there. Let's take a look at our next stock. Public Service Co. of New Mexico. Much different look here. It did close near the low, 49.09, compared to the low of 49.07, but it is in no way a disaster of a chart like we saw with the banks. So what's the difference here? Why are we getting this particular stock versus the other ones? It's a function of our criteria and our sorting. So we only asked that the close be by the low. Well, what if a stock gapped up and closed at the low of the day post gap? Very high volume. Could you in fact have a stock that rallied, closed at the low after a big gap up, and had huge volume? Indeed, I think that could satisfy this particular scan. So here we have a mini uptrend in an area of higher consolidation, holding a rising 50-period moving average and relative strength that has just poked its head above a somewhat declining moving average, but not horrible. So based on what we asked for and based on how we sorted, I think we have a responsive stock, although it looks different. So when you're thinking about designing your scans, remember how you sort, what you ask for, all has implications. When you get a second, go back to the scan map and think about what really the scan terms request. Let's take a look at our next stock. Another bank, Bank Hawaii. Family resemblance to the other banks, really kind of a terrible look. Big bar down, 7.39%, 67.53 close off a 67.50 low. Relative strength down, scooter down at the lower end of a consolidation, possible failure here. Who knows? Interesting from a value perspective, 12 PE with a 4.15 dividend. So maybe there's something here, but look at the erosion of capital if you're going to chase that yield. 4% annualized yield, and you're down recently 80 to 67, 68. Big erosion of capital. Big price to pay for chasing a dividend. So have to be careful when you're doing these. So go back, take a look at the scan. It's got a little bit of complexity to it, but very simple terms. Interesting to think them through. Go ahead and take a look at my friends over at Wyckoff Analytics. They're really doing some great stuff over there. A lot of free material for you to check out. A lot of Johnny Scan stuff there too. So that's it for today. Remember, scan well, trade better. That's your Daily 5. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with Stock Charts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.